Hey everyone, it's Mark. This video is going to be a little different than normal. Hopefully by now you will have seen this video over on Lumio's Trainer Zach's channel. It's a ranking of the top 25 battles in the history of the Pokemon anime. But this wasn't just any regular ranking video. Oh no, this was what we like to call a mega collab that was done by myself and 25 other content creators who all love the Pokemon anime. We all worked really hard to make this video for the anime's 25th anniversary, and I think you will agree that the final product turned out amazing. In this video, I'm going to take you behind the scenes and explain the process behind turning a very ambitious idea into reality. I was lucky enough to be super involved in the organization and planning of this mega collab, and I just wanted to highlight all the hard work and effort that we all put into this video. If you haven't watched the video itself, I would recommend heading over to Zach's channel and watching it right now before I go any further. Of course, the link to the video will also be in the description. While you're looking down there, be sure to click like on this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And now let's jump into the behind the scenes of how we made the top 25 battles in the history of the anime mega collab. So one fateful day, Tuesday, May 11th, 2021 to be exact, some of us were joking around about this old Watch Mojo video about Pokemon anime battles. This Watch Mojo ranking was ridiculous, to put it lightly, and all of us thought their list was terrible. Watch Mojo has actually done two lists in the past ranking the best battles ever, one back in 2015 and a more updated version in 2020. As you can see, their rankings had huge Gen 1er energy, and just looking back at these now reminds me of how embarrassing these lists are. Anyways, it was actually Crasher who was the first person to come up with the idea for a mega collab. That was just the first step though. Eventually Zach brought up how this could be a special video for the 25th anniversary of the Pokemon anime, and now we really had quite the idea on our hands. Planning immediately started on this project. We may have been 10 months away from the 25th anniversary, but we weren't going to waste any time waiting. At least I certainly wasn't. I'm sure all of us have had group projects in school, and usually what would end up happening was that one kid would end up just taking control of the entire project because they wanted to make sure it got done and got done right. Yeah, I was that kid back in school. I was the one putting the team on my back to make sure I was getting an A on any group project, no matter who my other group members were. I brought that same energy to this project. I think back then I had like 1,000 subscribers. I was still a really small YouTuber, but I was making sure this idea actually happened. After we agreed on the video ending up being on Zach's channel at the end of the day, I got to work discussing scheduling with him and putting the plan in motion. This is the schedule we ended up deciding on. Since we had 10 whole months before the video was actually going to come out, I wanted to make sure people stayed invested in this project from start to finish. That meant we set up two different voting periods. We got one vote done right away. I'll be referring to this as the preliminary votes or preliminaries. After we got an initial top 25 ranking out there, we could all check it out and discuss what we thought about our combined rankings. From there, the project went fairly quiet for a few months, with the second and final round of voting coming up in the winter of 2021. This also gave the anime time to have any new potential battles make the list, and really the only contenders from these past 10 months have been Ash's Ultra Class battles, and the day this video is being posted, Ash just had yet another Ultra Class battle. Who knows, maybe Ash vs Drozda was so good that it already deserves to be in the top 25, but since it fell out of the time period for our voting, we unfortunately couldn't consider it. There did end up being 72 battles that we did consider though, as the first step of the voting process was nominating potential battles for the top 25. Since we had over 25 people working on this project with their own thoughts and opinions, it was not really that shocking that we came up with that many potential battles between us all. Some of us are OG fans of the original series, or AG or DP stands. We even had some best wishes truthers in there, and of course XY and SM gave us no shortage of potential nominees. Journeys was a controversial one for us, as you might expect, but as you saw in the actual video, only one Journeys battle ended up making the top 25, tied for the least of any series alongside Best Wishes. Once everyone had put in their nominations, we pushed on to the next stage of voting. I will take full credit and or blame for the voting process. The actual method we used for the voting was entirely down to me. I thought everything that I learned from my sociology degree prepared me to create the most fair and sensible voting method given the task at hand: create a top 25 ranking combined between over 25 people. As you can imagine, that was no simple task. What I ended up doing was breaking the voting into two parts. For the first part, I just took all of the battles that were nominated and threw them into a Google form. I told everyone to select 25 battles from this list that they thought should make the top 25. No actual ranking yet. This part of the voting process was specifically used to narrow the field down to a much more manageable number than 72 nominations. Once everyone had their say, the 30 battles that received the most votes moved on to the second part of voting. I decided to cut it off at 30 battles here instead of exactly 25 so that this could allow for a slight margin of error per se. There can't really be a margin of error in a qualitative vote like this one was, but the next round was purely quantitative. See, my sociology degree qualifies me to say big words sometimes. It helps me feel smart, okay? Alright, moving on. The fun part of the voting was actually getting everyone to rank the battles. Every person involved in the project filled out their own ranking of these 30 battles, and these submissions created the data that would be used to determine the combined ranking. If you are statistically literate like myself, you would understand how the battle with the lowest average voting placement can be considered the #1 battle in the combined ranking. And by lining up every battle in order of their average placement, that would determine the top 25. Some people aren't as comfortable with all of these numbers though, so to placate their small brains, I also showed my work by assigning each vote a certain amount of points, with a first place vote being the most points. Obviously, this ended up being the exact same results, and from this we had our preliminary top 25. These rankings caused plenty of discussions and debate, and more than a few healthy disagreements between us. Eventually, things went pretty quiet on this project for a few months until December rolled around, and then I was once again asking for everyone's votes. I guess I should take this time to apologize, for annoying everyone by getting them to vote. I certainly had to send out more than one reminder for several people involved in this project. But like I said before, I was making sure this mega collab happened no matter what, and I was perfectly okay with being a little strict on deadlines and reminders. So after going through the same voting process again, starting with the first part of the voting, we narrowed down the nominees once again to the top 30, and then we ranked each of the top 30 to create our final top 25 ranking. I still have all of the data from each of these 2 rounds of voting. I am sure most people probably only care about seeing the finished product, but any other stats nerds out there, hit me up in the comments or over in my Discord server. I would be happy to take a deep dive into the numbers behind these votes, how things changed over the 2 rounds of voting, etc. I don't want to just reveal what every individual person said for their own personal rankings. I don't know if they are all totally comfortable with me sharing that information, so I'll just keep that to myself for now. But again, if you want to discuss anything about the voting, I would recommend checking out my Discord server. I honestly could talk about these voting results all day. There are a lot of interesting findings from looking at this data, and of course it's cool being the only person to know how each and every single person voted individually. You wouldn't believe what Treyman1 had in his top 5. Okay, not really. I actually read with a lot of people's lists for the most part. So the last part of this mega collab that I had a hand in organizing was the much debated question of who gets to talk about each battle. This was something that was hotly contested straight from the beginning of this project. I was extremely fascinated to see how for a lot of people, who gets to talk about each battle was just as exciting, if not more interesting to them than the actual ranking of the battles. Another thing that my sociology degree qualifies me for is to work in the human resources field, and I think I was able to effectively put those skills to the test here. I had to figure out a way to assign all of the battles in a way that would make everyone happy. Well, mostly everyone happy. That was my goal anyway. I didn't think it would be possible to give everyone exactly what they wanted. To do this, as part of the final ranking, I asked everyone to list the 5 battles that they would most like to cover in the video. I took all of those responses and put them into a spreadsheet to help organize who wanted what battle. Again, I don't want to reveal what everyone said here. I am not sure if they would all be comfortable with me sharing that information, and plus it might just create some fights regarding who ended up getting what battle. Okay, I will show Polly's 5 choices though, just to show an example of how some people were not exactly subtle at showing which battles they preferred to talk about. I tried my hardest to come up with a way to give everyone a battle that they listed in their 5 choices, as well as assign the battles in an order that makes sense for the video. I came up with my final list, and I do genuinely have a reason for giving each person the battle that they were assigned, so I felt pretty good about that. I presented my list to Zach, expecting to have a long discussion, hashing out a better version of the list, but to my surprise, Zach had no complaints about the way I assigned all of the battles. That was a nice surprise to me. I guess I ended up doing a better job than I expected to. With that, the only things left on the schedule was for everyone to script their portion of the video, record the voiceover for their entry, and send their audio over to Zach. From there, we let Zach work his magic, and as expected, it turned out absolutely phenomenal. I didn't really have to do anything for these last steps other than worry about my own part, so I can't really speak too much on how this all went. All I can really do is give a huge shout out to Zach for doing literally all of the editing for this video. He's one of the best in the game for a reason. And that, in short, is how we made the Top 25 Battles Mega Collab. I could talk about the behind the scenes of this project for hours, if not days. It was such a fun project to be a part of, and I really just want to thank everyone who participated in the project with me. With so much voting and deadlines, I know it wasn't the easiest process in the world, but we all worked hard and got the job done, and I am really glad with how it turned out. Do I agree with all of the final top 25 rankings? Well, no, absolutely not. I think some of the battles that made the cut are ridiculous, but that's another story for another video. Once again, special shout out to Crasher for being the first person to suggest suggest this mega collab, and special thanks to Zach being in charge of organizing and editing the video. It was an awesome experience working so closely with him on this amazing project. I hope you all enjoyed watching the top 25 video as well as this look behind the scenes, and who knows, maybe another mega collab could happen one day. There are definitely other YouTubers that I would have loved to work on this project with, and in general, I think it would be a lot of fun to collab with PokeTubers to make some fresh and exciting content. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, drop this video a like, and make sure you like the video over on Zach's channel as well. Make that video blow up. It deserves it for all the hard work we all put into it. Feel free to ask me any question about this project down in the comments or over in my Discord server. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.